Hello and welcome to the Bold Leadership Story Show, where we talk about the experiences shaping exceptional lives. And today I've got the honor of speaking with Teri Sue Parker, who's a mover and a shaker here in the Temecula Valley. She's been doing yeoman's work, setting up community food pantries and just getting the community involved and helping myriad of people with their lives and making their days better every day. And thanks for joining me on the show, Teri Sue.
Sure, Jim. Thanks for asking me. I was honored, and I looked at some of the interviews you had done, and it was a new connection for us. And I was like, me, really? And then I read it was bold leadership and leadership, and that was kind of a compliment, I thought. So I go, am I a leader? Well, I guess so.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. I'm
Yes,
so
yes,
busy serving. At times I don't really look back, and I'm not trying to make it about me. I'm trying to make it about a community and businesses coming together in which was a really bad time, and turn it into something that we could survive and look back on and be proud of, that we made it through this. Now let's go to the next, and 3 years later.
Yeah, you've been involved. You are a very active person. You've from looking at your quick bio here, you hosted a local TV show before, and
Awesome. Passion. My husband sent you that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Well, Wake Up Lincoln City.
It was awesome.
What was your intro for that show?
Oh, it was amazing. I was a waitress at the time, real quick, at a place called Hobie's Adobe in Lincoln City on the coast in Oregon.
Yeah.
And I had some regulars, and he and his wife happened to own the local TV, KBCH, K-Surf. And he looked at me one day and said, if you're ever tired of waiting tables and serving on people, you'd make a great salesperson. And I was there the next day in his office, and boom, started with sales, with radio, and then there was a TV station upstairs, and the person was leaving that hosted that. And so that's where Adopt a Family came from. I brought it back from 1997. But
Wow.
that took me
I remember that one, Adopt a Family.
Yeah, Adopt a Family. And it was back in 97, and it was in Oregon. And I thought, we're going through a pandemic. People can't afford food. What about the holidays? I go, well, let's have other families that are doing better, adopt the other families that are doing good. Let's have seniors adopt seniors, veterans that need help, or we will, so that's kind of one of the faves here is adopt a mom in need for Mother's Day.
And that's what you're doing now?
We do that during the holidays.
You started with the Operation Temecula Food Drive, right?
Yeah, we started off actually.
And that was during COVID?
Yeah, I was working in home care, and I was in a grocery store, and it actually, I didn't know what had happened, but people's phones were going off, and there was lines all the way to the back of the grocery store, and I saw fear and I saw panic. And
how'd that make you feel when you saw that? What was your emotion?
It took my breath away to the point that I left the store, and I went to another store, and then I saw them saying, we're out of milk, we're out of eggs, we're out of this, we're out of that. Limited one loaf. And I went, what is going on? And then my mixer was closed, and then the chamber meeting was closed, and schools were shutting down. I was right smack in the middle of it. So I actually came home and thought, I think we're going to run out of food, because me being a chef by trade, and just for what I saw in the shelves was, good grief. I don't think we're ready for this, whatever this thing is called COVID.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody else was ready, and now they're scrambling. And I actually saw elderly being pushed over, and I saw people panicking. I get it, because they were thinking for my family, for me, for me, fear, action. I knew we would be okay, but who's going to be the most vulnerable? So I came home and I walked in the door, and I just yelled upstairs to my husband, and I said, I'm going to start a food drive. Operation Temecula Food Drive, we'll call it.
What was his reaction?
Oh, goody. That's a great idea. Well, he's not, he lost his man cave because it had to be in our garage.
So he sacrificed for this.
Pretty much his office is upstairs. He's a business coach, retired chiropractor. But I didn't ask. I didn't think twice. I didn't ask if I could, because we were supposed to be locked down. Don't share things. Don't touch people. So
there's bold leadership right there.
Yeah, I wrote a sign, and I actually spelled Temecula wrong, and I put it on next door, but I wrote, Operation Temecula Food Drive, drop food off here, please, thank you. And then I just started posting on all the neighborhoods around me, the app next door. That really, the people needed something to do. The people needed something to do and somewhere to give. And then I had a lot of outlets in the community And then by word of mouth and by, I know somebody that's alone, check on your senior, check on your veterans, check on the disabled person that can't come out. And it literally grew and grew. It's like you build it and they'll come, and they came full blast. And I remember the very first donation. So it was unbelievable to open the door every day for over a year during a pandemic and have fresh, beautiful food at my doorstep, and then so we got a little bit into it. A couple months go by, and I thought the food drive would be for a couple of weeks, and we would just help as many as we could, whoever was asking. Well, it's been 3 years, but we were using our fridge in our house, and I was like, well, now it's fresh food, so we're going to need some fridges, and so people started donating from everywhere. I just posted a wish list. We need a freezer. We need a refrigerator. We can't, we have nowhere to store this stuff. Everything that we asked for on the wish list was brought by someone in the community or
I'm going
to
share screen here as you're talking. So this is your Facebook page.
Oh yeah. This is food that we buy fresh for. We actually do the Rotary Senior Project boxes, and we just got that due to the quality of the food that we give out. So when it's 100 out, this is my house.
Okay.
It is 110 in my garage right now. So we're still in the garage. So on Tuesdays, Rotary comes and picks up 35 fresh food boxes and gives to their senior project. So as you can see, there's fresh food, there's Dave's bread, there's, I actually go out and shop for this and handpick for the boxes. We have a few diabetics and we have a few specialty, but it's pretty filled over with fresh, non-expired food. And then we let them right in the house. So it was just come on in. This was just last Tuesday. Then Al Rubio, and this was actually a tea party at Julie No. But that's our house. And oh yeah, that looks yummy. But these are pretty much the boxes. They're a little different than a normal food pantry just because we eat really healthy, and we believe every single person, living thing, deserves healthy, good food. So we do the eggs and the turkey meat and the protein and the 5 food groups. So we make them as healthy as we can, not just, and that's my counter in my kitchen, getting ready, making packages with lettuce and carrots and tomatoes. That's my husband, Bruce. Oh, no, that isn't. That's my neighbor. So this is kind of what it looks like, used to on a daily basis. Our front porch was, they called us the porch pantry.
Porch, that's cool.
And it's that sign is still there today. Actually, I didn't know where I could find it today, but so this was just very recent. So this was me. There's my dogs behind. Went out to 2 different places and shopped for all this food, then thought, we can't do this, it's too hot, and I brought it inside for the first time, and it worked in the living room.
So you say you're shopping for this. Where do you shop and who's paying for it?
We shop and we pay for it, unless the Rotary actually has a senior project and a little budget that they can use, but 100% of everyone that we're feeding is coming from our fundraising, food raising, going in front of Stater Brothers, wish list, signing. It's a continual everyday thing because food has to be replenished. So it's actually
it's very perishable,
and not at the beginning, not being able to have a lot of people. So I couldn't have a lot of volunteers, and we don't have anyone on salary because I'd rather spend money on people and food than on salary. So even 3 years in, yes, I could use someone. We did have a grant writer for a little bit of a time, and that worked. And it just got so busy, and the requests for food were coming at me so fast that, and some of the community was coming, but it was kind of slacking off. So I just do a lot of speaking at the Rotaries. I speak at the Elks Lodge. I speak to you. I speak to James Cooley. ABC7 came out, followed us around town. So kind of becoming a household name if someone is in need. And we not only do the food, we take care of the pets, and we also take care of the home goods, the supplies, and then paper goods. Because, if they can't afford, a lot of these are like, seniors on a fixed income, or a cancer patient that it's either medication or fresh food. We're in America. That's just not right to me. So I think that they should be able to, everyone deserves fresh food. So we do it on a biweekly basis. And we raise money for that, and we raise food. So I call it food raising, but not in the summer months. We tried that and you saw what happened. We came inside, but so yeah. just always keeping it present and talking and getting the name out there and getting in front of people and how we're a little bit different because we're kind of a fresh, healthy food pantry. Not that the others aren't. We work with Mission of Hope. They're awesome. They let us use their walk-in, but we lost our harvest this year, which was 50 boxes of melons and all of our salads and all of our farm to table. We had that for 2 years. They were amazing sharing with us. We pull a lot from the orchards. We pull a lot. Jen Sale Animal Ranch Sanctuary, which she has excess of vegetables because we like to do that with our boxes. So we pull from everywhere that we can. And a lot of it, it's all local right here, really close.
Beautiful. So I'm going to pull up your website too. And if you share people
and this also,
you need help. What is it that you're looking for at this point?
Yeah, this website was actually donated to us from a chamber member. She said, how could I help Teri Sue? And it's Beatrice, and it's she's amazing because she put the whole thing together. It does need updated now, but like I said, I'm very seldom sitting at the desk. So we have about get involved, social media, and then contact and donate now. So the donate now actually goes to a GoFundMe page that's been up and running for almost 3 years. So people still donate through that. And then we do fundraisers like this, the flowers that you see. We do adopt a family, adopt a senior, adopt a veteran for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. And we put a card in each one, and they also get something off their wish list. So that's a big people donate, and then I make the basket. We make the baskets here, or we make the food here. So they trust us with their funds. And those are our big, so far. We haven't done a golf tournament. We don't do galas, not yet. But the adoptive family and then Thanksgiving, we get turkeys from Morongo. So a lot of work goes into it, but it also comes out amazing, actually. So right now we are slower because of just hit 100, I believe. So there's no air in the pantry, but we do have a swamp cooler. Someone donated, not quite cutting it, but we were blessed with that. We had somebody install our garage doors to make it cooler for us. And then we also had someone donate fixing the garage door. I was doing it by hand, and Sean Sorensen at Exit Realty, she came forward and gave us a huge donation of a new garage door opener. So it's just, people see stuff that we need and it comes through. But kind of after the food prices skyrocketed and people started getting a $500-$600 gas bill, it just kind of flatlined. And we had, because I've been collecting food for so long, we had a lot of canned and a lot of that, the cupboards were stocked and the fridges are always stocked. And then I panic when we're down to, and I start looking at the fridges and they're empty. Well, if I'm panicking, think of what people are panicking. So I have an outlet to use to start using it. So I just start posting like a wish list, and of things that we need the most. And if it's fresh food, it's got to go out right away, so the wish list has worked so far. And then writing grants and talking to the bigger corporations, and it all takes a lot of people. And we need more people working. We need a grant writer is what we need, because there's quite a few grants out there right now. There's one for Temecula. There's one that Chuck Washington, he just signed 14.8 million for nonprofits, and it all takes time. The grants are another whole deal. I learned a lot from it, but they're specifically for Temecula residents, and some of them for everywhere, because we feed, Wildemar, Marietta, Temecula, anybody really that is in need of food right now. So we prioritize it to isolated seniors, veterans, cancer affected families, disabled, and then families just in need with kids, and they're out of school right now. So we try to make it, the people most in need, get that to them first, and then fill the need for the rest.
What are you finding what's driving the need right now? And do you see it still growing after COVID, or is it kind of settled out a bit?
It never settled up. It got even busier. In fact, I have more, my voice box is always full. I always empty it. And the requests are more tripled since pandemic, because people ran out of their unemployment and the food prices going up alone. So people were having to buy food for their own selves, for their own families. And I understand that. So actually we're busier now than we were during the pandemic. And now that the word is out, um, uh, it's unbelievable how many calls I get a day, and the calls I get in the middle of the night of, we're in a food emergency. I have nothing in my cupboards. I actually go to the houses. I can actually go drop off to a house here in Temecula, and their cupboards are empty and their house all looks perfect on the outside. And because they're living in a home, people think they're okay. Because the lawn is done, people think, well, if they can afford a lawn person, they can afford food. It's so not. Don't judge a book by its cover, because there's people that have pride in ownership, or they're renting, not just seniors, everyone right now. And they are struggling putting fresh food on the table for their families. And that is just, it's scary, for a lot of people, what we're going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we kind of get the people that are falling through the cracks. Either they don't qualify for EBT, or they just lost their job, or the seniors are living off of a fixed income that was from when they worked 40, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
$500-$600 a month, and then you spend a couple hundred on food. What does that leave for their life? And their quality of life as a veteran, for me, should be here, and for the seniors and isolated seniors and so on should be, they shouldn't have to worry about where their food is coming from. They should be able to go out and shop and get what they need. They don't know how to Instacart and go on and order food to have delivered. It's expensive. So
Mm-hmm.
I started out with them, and I would put a little note like this in the card, and it says, have a wonderful day. You're worth it. Sharing is caring. And I would leave my phone number, because these people were getting this food, ding dong, go, because I wasn't supposed to, have contact with people at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the food is safe and only one person's touched it, and I would Lysol everything down. So we kind of made it so that they had somebody to call, and they did.
Okay.
So we like to get people, we didn't want to make them dependent on us. The ones that could get back on their feet are now our biggest donators. So the businesses that could not do their business during that time that we helped and searched out for are now, what can we do? How can we help? So it's amazing how that worked, and getting the businesses in the community together to help to see the problem of the food insecurity. It's not talked about a lot. It's not a secret.
When you say food insecurity, what does that mean?
Food insecurity is people waking up in the morning and not sure what they're going to have for breakfast or feed their kids that night. There's the food is so expensive that what they're making, or what they were making, or what they were living on is not cutting it. Because of inflation, the gas bill or the electric bill took over, or the gas for the car, when all that went up, that money was usually grocery money. So food insecurity is just being not having any security where your food source is coming from. And for me to be in Temecula, Marietta, and have people not knowing, that what are they going to have for dinner, what are they going to have for lunch? And it's not really laziness or a lack of laying around waiting to get fed. It's they want to get back up, get on their feet. That's where the nourishing food comes in, and the healthy food, because if they eat healthy, they're going to feel better. They get back on their feet quicker and be part of society again. I mean, you get down that low and it's hard to get lifted back up. So we like to lift them up and then get them back into the workforce and, back to living their best life.
Yeah.
And I just don't think you can do that with a box of canned food. So
no, it's interesting. The idea of having sounds like a significant number of people in the Temecula Valley that are experiencing this issue with food insecurity. It seems like that would be something that you'd see, maybe in downtown LA, not downtown LA, but in some of the not so nice neighborhoods.
Exactly.
But this is not that. This is a very nice area. Yeah, why are we experiencing this?
And like I said, the minute that we saw
inflation is mostly driving it, you think? It's just, and people losing work and losing benefits?
The price of food alone, because to eat healthy and to eat right, what used to be $200 at Walmart, say, for someone is now maybe $50. So when the prices shot up for the food. And then if they don't have access to the harvest, if they don't have, there's only so many food pantries here. And like I said, some of them now, they both are working, and it's just trying to make ends meet. And
Right.
food has become a luxury, and it should not be a luxury. Food is essential, and good food. So the people that we're finding are falling through the cracks. They don't know how to, they've never, like when the pandemic started, people did not know what is EBT or what is, I mean, these people are entrepreneurs and they've worked their whole life. They've never
Right.
been in this situation.
Yeah,
ever.
they're not handout takers.
No, ever. And that's kind of like, that's why we say it's not it's a lift up. It's not a handout. It's a hand up, because been in that situation 20 some years ago and had to walk in front of a food pantry. I remember it took me 11 times to actually go in and ask for help. So I've been there, know the feeling, and the feeling of being hungry too. I've been hungry. And I think if you haven't experienced that, it's kind of hard to realize, well, why don't they have food? Well, they are not spending right. There's a lot of judgmental thing going, but there's a lot of good too, is making people aware that there is food security 3 houses down from here. Right. So we're trying to catch and see and read people's, like I was sitting in a house and the lady kept saying to me, well, I'm not eating right. And I thought she was saying that I'm eating junk food. And what she was saying was, I can't afford to buy groceries. And it finally clicked on me. And so without asking, is we try to get to them before they have to ask. And like, where did this food come from? God?
Well, they're probably embarrassed, or they're just feeling insecure about asking for help because they don't have a way to reciprocate maybe, or, they're just feeling like helpless.
Yeah, not being able to eat or have the necessities in life that you need, and not what was happening too during the pandemic, which we're dog and animal lovers, where people were surrendering their pets because they could not afford to feed them. So Epic Dog Academy actually got hold of that, and Bingo Buddies, Martha, she adopts senior dogs. They started, gosh, I think.
Oop, looks like I lost you.
So when people heard that there was a need, people were jumping to it, but you have to go look for it. You have to work for it. But to be able to take care of, I don't know if you've priced dog food lately, but trying to take care of yourself, trying to take care of your kids, or just trying to take care of you and your pets. Like I said, it's not luxurious. I mean, we're not talking lobster and crabs, but yet fresh, healthy, food, and then being able to have a toy for the pet. That's where Adopt a Family came in. It was, if they can't afford right now, just got out of a pandemic, to feed themselves, what are the holidays going to look like for them? And let's make the Christmas boxes something a little extra, like a roast with all the fixings. At Thanksgiving, we do the turkey, the dressing, the traditional turkey box, and let them cook together as a family. And Mother's Day, some of the single moms doing, you adopt a mom. So we have one mom adopting another mom, and it's absolutely beautiful thing. We put up a tree. We actually found trees for people too. So we put up a tree, and there's pictures on our website of the gifts that they get to pick one thing off their wish list. So I would organize it to where it would all be delivered the same day. So it was Santa Claus. We were like Santa's little village for a while, and it was the community that was doing it. I was just, I was the vessel for it to run through, just because that's who I am. But they would go out, get the presents with their kids, tell their kids why they were buying the gifts, and show up. And we would take care of the food box, which would be a beautiful box of food actually for their Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving. And then everybody had something off their wish list with their name on the tag. And we do deliver because we're in a great neighborhood and we have great neighbors. Thank you, neighbors. But so we deliver instead of having people show up here. It would be chaotic, and that really took off, and people love that. And they're like, I want to adopt 3 families, or the senior wants to adopt another senior, and it's just adorable actually. And to see the faces and connect them to, we got you. Don't be embarrassed. This is what we've all been in. Well, a lot of people have been in the same situation.
Yeah, I know I have. It's tough. I mean, but it's so wonderful. What a blessing to have you and your husband and the team you've put together helping the community in this way. It's so amazing and beneficial for everybody.
Thanks. Well, and it helps me just as much, my spirit. I mean, I've always worked since I was 12. I grew up in Oregon on a farm, where we
Uh-huh.
grew our own things. So the work ethic for me was not lay around and collect unemployment checks, which I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. The government was giving it, but what can I do for someone else? You always be of service, service before self.
Hmm.
And that's what fueled it, was how my parents brought me up. And so it just took off like lightning, it was just, it grew and people came and we're still going bigger
Wow.
and better, looking for a place with air so I can
Oh,
make the food boxes and get it out of the house. But
that's beautiful.
yeah.
I'm about out of time. I've got one more question. Do you got time
Hmm.
for one more?
Yeah. I'm not
Awesome.
going anywhere. It's 100 out.
Yeah. Uh, the looking at your whole life. And I ask this everybody who comes on the show. Look at your
Uh-huh.
whole life. What was the boldest leadership decision that you've made, and what were the consequences?
Probably Good Samaritan, because it could be two. It was actually the boldest that changed my way of living, my thinking, my life, and my career, was the day that I waited on the table that said, you need to quit waiting on tables and you'd make a great salesperson, because that gave me a venue, that gave me a platform from that moment on in my life to help others. So when
What
I
was
did
it
this,
that sparked that? I mean,
I was
did you
sick of
have any
waiting on
sales
tables. It was,
experience before that?
no.
So
So
what was it that gave you the confidence to say, yeah, I can do that?
um, just not being shy and tired. Like it's the kind of the way that he put it, Hal Fowler, I'll never forget it, Ocean Lake Broadcasting. And if he saw something in me, why am I not seeing this? And I had two little girls at the time and
Okay.
I was married, and I just have these aha moments, or these God shots you call them, where it just
Uh-huh.
went, just go do it, walk in. And it's a
Okay.
lot of self-talk. It's a lot of self-improvement. It's a lot of wanting more, not materialistic, but just, I wanted, my girls just didn't want there's nothing wrong with being a waitress. Man, 20 years, Bart, it was awesome. I'd still love to do it if my back would let me. But it was just a mindset that I had to change. And man, the minute I did, and then getting accepted with, you're exactly what we're looking for. And then within a couple months having a TV show and hosting it. So it was the right decision. And I remember my sister told me, now, selling air is the hardest thing to sell. You can't see it. So, you've got income coming in now. And this was back in Oregon, and Otis, Oregon, actually, it's what my dog's named after. But
Uh-huh.
she was warning me, oh, I don't know.
Family can do that.
Oh
Family,
my gosh, selling airtime is the
they mean
hardest
well,
ever.
right?
Yes, that she did. And I went, well, I'm kind of the one that's going to do it anyway. And I just felt right that day. And man, it brought this part of Good Samaritan is part of that decision. Because if I wouldn't have changed that day, I wouldn't have done the adoptive family. I wouldn't have gotten on the air and been able to go, oh, and people saying, this is kind of natural. You don't even need a script. Let's just get you in front of the camera. And I said, well, I want to do something to help people. So I used my platform for women's shelters and for adoptive family. Started
Mhm.
that and thought, oh, this is going to be great. So it took me to the next step and the next step until I went up for the Mrs. Oregon. And the reason I was doing it, I got Mrs. Lincoln County and was blessed to do that. But I thought, well, I could have a bigger voice now. And that got me onto the Mrs. Oregon. And so it really fueled the adoptive family and the women's shelter back then. So the decision was right. It was, I thought, my passion, my calling, and kind of hard to get into it now. I'm 60, but but everything that, when I look at my whole life and look back, that moment that I decided to stop waiting tables and to take the challenge to walk into the owner of a radio station saying, and then saying, I want to be on air, and then saying, oh, then being asked to host the local TV show, that was like huge. So it gave me the encouragement, I guess, and the right mindset, the right person to do it, because I used it
Mhm.
for a lot of good, and I'm still using it today. I tell people that the adopt a family that is so popular in people giving and people doing the gifts and doing the food comes from 1997. It was Mrs. Lincoln County doing her, out serving the community. So it seems
Mhm.
like I was always serving. That was always on the top of my mind, and living a good life and having a good life for my family and for my kids. So that's kind of
Are,
what did it that day.
how old are your kids now?
34 and 33, 32. So Ashley and Sabrina. So they watched me this whole time. So they were the kids that grew up that on Christmas Eve, instead of sitting and waiting for Santa to come, they were wrapping gifts with me. They were being the secret Santa. They were watching mom go through and leave stuff on people's front door and not putting our name on it, and not taking the yay, yay for us on it, and hearing their voices on the radio. So I involved them in everything I did, and seeing that, raising them that way. They are millennials, but they are the most giving, caring humans, and I'm so proud of that actually they followed in my footsteps, and I feel like I'm following in theirs, because their life here is totally different than it was back in 97. But they remember Christmas, not what I got, the biggest gift I got. They remember wrapping presents for the kids at the shelter on Christmas Eve. And then, we just had our small Christmas, but they remember that memory more than they remember any gift they ever got. Was giving, the gift of giving. And they've held that throughout their whole life. And both of them mimic that. One is a regional chef, and the other one works with high-risk kids. During the pandemic, went out and took lunches to the kids at the homes because they couldn't go to school. So, gee, I wonder where she got that idea. Yeah, I go, honey, you're like exposing yourself. And she's in Markleeville, California. So cold, snow, rain, sleet, and not really good living conditions. She saw things that really opened her eyes with not having that much herself, but seeing where these kids were being brought up in, and the lack of food, and being able to take them. She was their bright spot in their day, bringing the dog a treat and making sure they had homework. And there was over 100 and some kids. So she made a huge difference in their life. So doing something right if your kids turn out to be good humans. And they're very, very much would give you the shirt off their back. That's really almost makes me cry.
What a blessing.
Yeah, they are. Ashley and Sabrina. So,
wow, that's wonderful.
And on their spare time, they go read at the shelter to the dogs. They're not perfect. We were separated for some amount of time through divorce and everything, but they're not perfect, but they definitely, I think it's from my parents too. They got that give first, take care of your neighbors, take care of others first. Not gimme, not materialistic. I don't have to have the brand of pants that everybody else has. So thank goodness it wore off on them. And so we've got 2 millennials now. I've seen a lot of kids here in Temecula with that spirit. I was going to say real quick, Mesa High School, they're called Hopeful. And this is a group of kids that are even younger than that. And they donate their time to the pantry at drop of a hat. They'll come over and restock, clean the refrigerators, do whatever. And it's just, they get community hours at school, but not a complaint. They're so respectful, and then I mentioned Sean Sorensen. She's been kind of a rock too, with Reka, Random Acts of Kindness. You got to have her on, because she does this once a year, and she chose us one year, and they totally detailed the food pantry and my house. So that was cool. Yeah. And then there was one lady, and I'll make it quick, on Neighbors. She said, I hate to ask, but do you pick up donations? It was a Sunday afternoon, and I said, well, of course. And I said, I have a small red car, we have a truck. And she said, bring the truck. And I drove up a little bit up into wine country. No, they're not wealthy. They have a triple wide up there or whatever. And she opened the garage doors, and it was $3,000-$4,000 worth of food. And it was fresh ground beef and chicken. It was really our first. And she has continued 3 years into this, probably over $40,000 in food and mats. And she was our angel. She adopted us kind of. She goes, I just want to do something that, Lisa said, I just want to do something that, makes a difference and is important. And she's held us up seriously through, she's feeding half of Temecula. And still, now going through some health issues, but she's been there too. So it just takes one person, I had the thought, and then I needed the action of others to follow, or to lift me up at times. And it's happening, it's happening, and it's still happening. So as long as I can still do it.
Wonderful. Well, Teri Sue, thank you so much for sharing today. It's an amazing story. You are absolutely a bold leader, and you're stepping out into the unknown and making things happen and bringing so much joy and,
Well, thank
and
you.
happiness. Yeah.
It brings me joy too. I mean, seriously, it's just as good. It's what kept me sane during the pandemic because I was doing something. I was actually doing something, not sitting around. What are we going to do? So that was great. And my husband too. It was just, he goes, I've never seen giving. I've never seen people give so much. And he saw a whole new side of life, of people giving and not expecting anything in return.
Mm.
So for him too. And so he's helping me lift the boxes and doing it too, especially in the 100-degree weather, and my back is broken. So, but he's been a big support too. So
Excellent.
what about you? Do you know anybody in need?
Sure. Yeah. I was just at the Waves Project speaking with them yesterday, and they help wounded veterans.
Yes.
And take them out scuba diving and helping
Yes,
them.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's starting to focus a little bit of my energy there. So yeah.
Yes, and we, like I said, the veterans are shy sometimes about it. So sometimes I have a giving table and I put it outside and I put their food outside because, they're embarrassed, man. Like, you don't have to. And I wish I had it with me, but I left some food for a veteran. He's actually back on his feet working now and has a car. He said it was because of the food that he had, he could save up. But he gave me his Medal of Honor, and it was a weapons medal. And it was just left on the table by itself. And then he called my cell phone. He said, I'm sitting, bawling my eyes out in your driveway, and I can't tell you how much this food means. And I said, it would have been an insult to not take the medal that he got. And it was they don't give them out to very many. So I have that in
you
a
earned
shadow
that.
box.
They earned those.
Yeah, I go, I don't want to take this from you, but they said, no, take it. If he wanted to give it to you, that's how much it meant. And he's back on his feet, got a car, got a full-time job. PSTD is under control. So it really, it worked, we, for about 3 or 4 months, kept him supplied with food and water and food for his dog. And he left that medal, which stuff like that is what really gets you. Humanity still lives.
Yes. Well,
yeah.
Thank you for making a difference.
Sure.
On behalf of my community and my sphere of influence here on the show, absolutely beautiful stories. Thank you. Very inspiring.
Thank you so much. Thanks for finding me and helping me get the word out. So anybody that wants to donate or come and help or donate food, or you can go on the GoFundMe page is still up. We also have a Vimo, Teri Sue Parker, and we have several ways that we could use help right now.
Okay.
So
great. Well, we'll get this episode published and out and get it working.
Yeah, and the website is GoodSamaritanCommunity.org. And that would get you to the GoFundMe. It will get you to what we need, and you can email or sign up to help or whatever you want to do. Yeah, there it is.
Now, right?
So if you get up to get involved, or the social media is kind of what we're doing, but it is the ABC7 special is on this too. So if you want to make a donation, 100% of those funds goes right back into the community. It'll take you to the GoFundMe page. It's been up for a while, but don't let that scare you. That's what we're using right now.
This one right here.
There it is right there. And some of these people I don't know. We've got this Mark Knapp here that they did a pretty good donation during Christmas time, and they read the story and it inspired them. And now, as you can see, they're monthly pretty much donating like this. But to get to the amount that this was on took 3 years. So it's, when it's food, and then we go out and do the shopping with it, and then a little bit of the overhead, because it's really with the prices of keeping it cool out there and keeping all the refrigerators, because we have 11 refrigerators and freezers. It takes money to pay for that too. But most of it, 100% goes to food.
Yeah, electricity's not getting any cheaper, is it?
No, it is not. So my husband's up there trying to pay all the bills, and I'm down here spending it now. I'm using it. But he was right on this with me, so it's a partnership. So
excellent. Well, thank you, Teri Sue. And
you're very welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for being on, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Okay, great. I can't wait to see this. And then I'll repost it.
Okay.
Make it a great day.
Yeah, hang on a sec.